다시. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the forum shortly. Before we begin, I'd like to make a final announcement. And please make sure that you pick up the receiver, interpreting receiver from the registration desk right outside the hall. And if you have just come in, please make sure that you turn on the switch here. But to turn it on, you have to plug in the headset and then press the gray button here. So channel 1 is Korean and channel 2 is English. We'll be starting shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and all the ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Korea-U.S. Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum 2022. My name is Katie Bo-Gyun Kim, and I'll be your MC for today's forum. Nice to meet you. Thank you. First of all, on behalf of the host and the organizer, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to our distinguished guests and all the participants from home and abroad who are with us this morning, despite of your very busy schedule. This forum is hosted by the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy of the Republic of Korea and is organized by the Korea Institute for Advancement of Technology. Today's event has been put together to share industrial policies and development strategies and to promote industrial cooperation between Korea and the U.S. Hence, the forum will provide opportunities for technical exchange and networking among the participants. And I hope this forum will serve as a platform for industrial technology cooperation between the two countries through active participation from experts from related agencies and organizations. So in this forum, the experts will share their insights on our present and the future. So now, before we start the forum, let me introduce the distinguished guests who are with us this morning. Please give them a big round of applause when I call out their names. So I'd like to start by introducing His Excellency, Mr. Deok An, Trade Minister of the Republic of Korea. Thank you very much. And our organizer of today's forum, Dr. Byung Joo-min, President of the Korea Institute for Advancement of Technology. Thank you very much for putting this together, this great and beautiful forum. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Darren Soto, Congressman of the 9th Congressional District of Florida. Welcome. Thank you. And Mr. Bart Moroni, Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary for Manufacturing of the U.S. Department of Commerce. Thank you very much. And Mr. Hee Dong-shin, President of the Korea Electronics Technology Institute. Thank you. Mr. John Newfer, President of the Semiconductor Industry Association. Last but not least, Mr. Nak-Yu Lee, President of the Korea Institute of Industrial Technology. Thank you very much. And due to the time restraint, I'm unable to introduce all the distinguished guests, and I kindly ask for your understanding. Now we are going to watch the video, please.
Technological innovation. Digital transformation. Changes in the environment of industrial technology with the development of advanced industries and critical technologies. silent war around the world to secure global supply chain. What should we be doing in preparation?
반도체를 통한 한미 글로벌 포괄적 전략 동맹의 의미를 되새길 수 있는 좋은 기회가 될 것입니다.
So this is the moment, in my view, to invest in one another, to deepen our business ties, to bring our people even closer together.
Korea-U.S. technical cooperation, advancement into overseas markets, exchange of joint R&D cooperation plans, new international cooperation plans for high-tech industry and supply chain cooperation. Today, that first step begins. Korea-U.S. Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum.
Great. It was a great video, wasn't it? Please give a big hand to our achievements. Thank you. We could confirm the forum's significance once again through the video. So now, to start the forum, I'd like to invite Dr. Byung-Ju Min, the president of the Korea Institute for Advancement of Technology, for the opening remarks. Please join me in welcoming President Min with a big round of applause on the stage.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Byung-Ju Min, the KIAT, president of KIAT. 제가 영어로 준비를 해서요.
I prepared my speech in English, so please allow me to speak in English.
Gratitude to all of you at the first Korea-U.S. Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum 2022. My sincere appreciation goes out to Maltese Minister for Trade, Dokun An, who will deliver welcome remarks. And I extend my gratitude to Congressman Darren Soto from Florida, USDOC's Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary for Manufacturing, Bart Maroney, SIA President John Newport, KT President Hee Dong-shin, and KITEC President Nakil Lee for gracing today's forum with your participation despite of busy schedules. I also would like to thank Seoul National University Professor Jun-Seok Hwang, ITIF President Robert Atkinson, Seoul Robotics CEO Han-bin Lee for giving special remarks at the forum. Also, let me express my particular gratitude to NIST Chief of Staff Jason Bowen, NSF Section Head Carol Bessel, and experts from Korea and the US who will share your insights during the session. Although the world have yet to recover from the damage caused by 3 years of COVID-19, global supply chains that used to center around efficiency driven by comparative advantages of each country have faltered. Also, technological paradigms have shifted across the world. This is why we need to solidify a strategic partnership to jointly respond to supply chain crises, especially when international innovation and cooperation strategies are needed. Distinguished guests, open innovation is required to address the immense changes, such as uncertainties of the future, the global value chain restructuring, the digital transformation. With that said, the first Korea-U.S. Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum here in Washington, D.C. will be deeply meaningful, providing a platform for gathering and collaboration to discuss ideas to promote such cooperation. Under the theme, Fast Forward into the Tech Future for the Next Frontier, governments, academia, industry, and research institutes of both countries will be technology innovation at the next frontier by sharing our future visions and exploring potentials for such cooperation. KIAT is enhancing support for the cooperation between Korea SMEs and U.S. institutes. In particular, our program supporting the global supply chain restructuring based on the demand of Korean and overseas companies from 2020 has many renowned participants such as BMW and Airbus, expected to bring tremendous ripple effects in exports and other areas. KIAT will prepare a foundation for Korea-US R&D in advanced technology sectors. We will also reflect what will be discussed during today's forum to further support those willing to cooperate. Distinguished guests and industry professionals, I sincerely hope that you will remove barriers and gather wisdom today to open a new chapter of technology innovation with your innovative imagination. It is my hope that this forum will be an invaluable opportunity to elevate our cooperation and solidarity, and I will closely cooperate with both governments to hold this forum next year as well. Finally, we have participants here and virtually who are in the US and who are joining in the late evening from Korea. Thanks again for your participation. I wish health and happiness for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Min. Yes, as she said, let's open a new chapter of cooperation together. Thank you very much. Once again, please give a big round of applause to Dr. Min. Now, I'd like to invite the Trade Minister, His Excellency Deok-keun An, on the stage for a welcome address. Please give Minister An a warm round of applause.
Good morning, distinguished guests, friends, and colleagues. I'm An Deok-keun, Trade Minister of Republic of Korea. It is my great pleasure to join you all for the very first Korea-US Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum, which is set to serve as a valuable platform for technology exchange between Korea and the United States. At the outset, let me express my sincere appreciation to Congressman Darren Soto, Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary for Manufacturing Bart Maloney, and John Neuffer, President and CEO of the Semiconductor Industry Association, for your attendance at this wonderful forum. I would also like to thank all members of the U.S. delegation for your participation here today. Also, my deepest gratitude goes to Min Byung-ju, President of Korea Institute for Advanced Technology, for your resolute commitment and leadership in making this event possible. I also thank Shin Hee-dong, President of the Korea Electronics Technology Institute, and Lee Nak-gyu, the President of the Korea Institute of Industrial Technology, for making the long journey to Washington, D.C. for this occasion. And I deeply appreciate the contribution of the entire Korean delegation toward ensuring the success of today's forum. The Korea and the United States have forged a robust partnership based on the unwavering trust that exists between our two countries. Our bilateral ties, rooted in our ironclad security alliance, have expanded into a comprehensive and mutually beneficial partnership that encompasses political, economic, societal, and cultural cooperation. As steadfast allies, Korea and the United States are working closely together to meet diverse global challenges that include climate change and energy security. In particular, our two countries have witnessed a stunning increase in bilateral trade and investment over the past 10 years, thanks to the Korea-US Free Trade Agreement. Distinguished guests, the United States has consistently stood side by side with Korea as a trusted partner when it comes to technological cooperation. To provide just one such example, US technology provided the basis for the launch of Korea's semiconductor industry in 1974 with the foundation of Korea Semiconductor. Korea later became the world's third country to possess 64K DRAM technology through technological cooperation with Micron of the United States. Fast forward to today, Korea has grown into the IT powerhouse that has constructed a cutting-edge foundry built on US soil. At the same time, US tech companies, namely Lam Research and DuPont, are actively cooperating with Korean firms through their investment plan with respect to wafer fabrication equipment and semiconductor materials. Such technological cooperation between our two countries has enabled Korea to emerge at the forefront of semiconductors and batteries. Distinguished guests, as you are well aware, the world is embarking on a paradigm shift across industries typified by the digital transition and carbon neutrality. In order to keep pace with these major changes, it is of the utmost importance to establish and strengthen technological alliance with like-minded countries. During our last bilateral summit held in May, the leaders of our two countries pledged to bolster our technological partnership on the basis of our steadfast security and economic alliance. This paved the way for the recent establishment of the Korea-US supply chain and commercial dialogue between the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy of Korea and the US Department of Commerce. Against this backdrop, the significance of the Korea-US Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum cannot be overstated. For the first time, industry and technology experts from both countries are participating in an official gathering for dialogue on promoting global and open innovation. Today's forum will serve as a valuable platform for our distinguished guests, those who are playing a principal role in spearheading innovation, to share their views on future technology and technological solutions. And this is just the beginning. Looking ahead, I hope that growing numbers of corporations, universities, and research institutes of our two countries will continue to have opportunities to engage in technology and human exchange on a regular basis. Last but not least, I hope this forum would open up new avenues for participants to identify future cooperation partners. To this end, the Korea Institute for Advanced Technology and the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology signed a letter of intent for cooperation yesterday. Going forward, I sincerely hope to see close cooperation between our two countries in an effort to stabilize global supply chains by forging ahead with a cooperation project that includes joint research and development. In doing so, I have no doubt that the development of comprehensive technology alliance between Korea and the US will soon become a reality. Distinguished guests, as you are well aware, technology lies at the very heart of innovation and cooperation between our two countries. In this vein, I very much look forward to further strengthening our bilateral ties across industries and academia with respect to advanced technologies and the supply chain networks. For its part, the Korean government is committed to increasing the number of the platforms for technological cooperation. With that said, I would like to conclude my remarks by once again expressing my heartfelt appreciation to each and every one of you for your participation here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister An. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your warm welcome remarks. Now I'd like to invite our Congressman, Mr. Darren Soto, on the stage. He will deliver congratulatory remarks. He is the 9th Congressional District Congressman. Please welcome him on the stage with a big round of applause.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Korea-U.S. Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum, and welcome to Washington. I'm happy to join you for this important and historic event. I enjoyed visiting Korea and learning more about your amazing country back in July of 2021. It was my second visit since I've been in Congress. I visited because we believe the U.S.-Korean relationship is so important that we must continue to strengthen ties in areas like military, culture, vaccines, technology, and commerce. In Florida's 9th Congressional District in Central Florida, we support and welcome Korean partners, especially technological partners, to help out in our brand new Center of Innovation in Osceola County, Florida, called Neo City. Neo City has been spearheading innovation for economic prosperity and job creation, particularly in the semiconductor industry. We know microchips are so critical. We also know that Korea is one of the greatest producers of microchips in the world. This is why we want to partner with you to ensure the growth and prosperity of both our country's tech sectors. I also get to serve on the House Energy and Commerce Committee. There we work directly with the Department of Commerce and other key players in microchip manufacturing and research movement in the United States. I was proud to work on the U.S. Innovation Technology Act. Alongside this act, I'm excited to say that the CHIPS for America Act passed. This means we're going to see a huge boost in domestic production. It's important to remember that American subsidiaries of Korean companies are eligible to receive grants. We strongly encourage you to consider expanding in Neo City and to take advantage of this great opportunity to expand microchip manufacturing footprints in Osceola County. Osceola County was also recently awarded round 1 of the Build Back Better Innovation Grant. It allows us to apply for upwards of $50 million to expand the equipment at our current fabricator in Neo City through a partnership with Skywater, Lockheed Martin, IMEC, and other institutions. I know with your help, we will see other fabricators rise from the ground alongside the smart city we are developing right now to make sure we meet the demand of the U.S. and the rest of the world for microchips. We have confidence that Korean investment in Osceola County will help job growth and will bring prosperity to both countries. We're ready to help you expand in Central Florida and have a talent pipeline to do just that thanks to Valencia College and the University of Florida. Geography is everything. I recently met with the Korean ambassador to the United States right before the historic Danuri mission with SpaceX in Korea. This followed key conversations I had with President Moon just over a year ago to increase our space partnership. I am also grateful that Korea signed the Artemis Accord to come up with the next generation of rules for governance in space. We are already making space and aerospace chips in Neo City, and we happen to be just a few miles away from Cape Canaveral, the busiest spaceport in the world. Together with the United States and Korea working in Neo City, the sky's the limit. Thank you for having me, and welcome back to Washington.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Congressman Mr. Soto. Please give him another big round of applause. Thank you. Now I'd like to have another congratulatory speech by Mr. Bart Morani, Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary for Manufacturing from the U.S. Department of Commerce. Please welcome him to the stage with a big round of applause.
Good morning, everyone, and it's a delight to be here today. It's a true honor to be at the first Korea-U.S. Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum. And the video was very impressive, and I appreciate Minister On's comments, and we share the same views, and a lot of my remarks reiterate just what you said, Minister On. So I'm the Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary for Manufacturing in the International Trade Administration at the Department of Commerce, and I manage a trade specialists that focus on industry sectors. And in this role, we look at all the key industries that were mentioned in the very impressive video. And so since COVID, the pandemic started to disrupt global supply chains, our specialists have also conducted extensive research on those disruptions and formulated recommendations for our manufacturers to diversify and strengthen those supply chains. And in some instances, the Biden administration is taking steps to reshore supply chains and attract investment from global leaders. And in other cases, it makes more sense to rely on close partners and allies to fill key segments of supply chains. And in both of these scenarios, Korean companies are U.S. companies' obvious choice for partnership, and that continues today. And a few facts about investment in the United States and our relationship with Korea. So there's significant, as described earlier, significant trade and investment partners that is top of the list. And South Korea is one of the top partners, with Korean companies investing $71 billion in foreign direct investment in the United States as of 2021. And in 2020, Korean-owned firms employed nearly 84,000 American workers and invested $1.8 billion in innovation and R&D in the United States. The United States has been Korea's second largest source of foreign direct investment over a decade. And last year, bilateral trade in goods and services reached an all-time high of $194 billion. And we look forward to this continued investment partnership and hope many of you will join us in May for our Select USA Investment Summit, the top event in the United States for foreign direct investment promotion, connecting investors, companies, economic development organizations, and industry experts to seize every opportunity available to make investment deals happen. U.S. and Korean companies are at the forefront of global technology, as Mr. On mentioned. And we at the Department of Commerce, along with our partners at Modi, are working to support and promote bilateral trade and investment. And during this conference, you will have the opportunity to learn from industry and government leaders and academia in fields ranging from semiconductors to ICT, connected and autonomous vehicles. And there will be sessions on advanced manufacturing techniques, including additive manufacturing. So bilateral work on many of these topics is already underway to deepen our collaboration in sectors critical to the long-term growth of both economies. Commerce and Modi signed a memorandum of understanding that established the U.S.-Korea supply chain and commercial dialogue this May. And this November, Commerce and Modi launched the Working Group on Advanced Manufacturing and Supply Chain Resilience, including semiconductors, which we are calling Manufacturing Resilience, and dual-use export controls. And two or more will be established next year, covering digital economy and healthcare and health technology. And so my team in the International Trade Administration is leading the Manufacturing Resilience under this dialogue. And we've already had one meeting, and it's been very productive. And we look forward to collaborating with our colleagues at Modi to strengthen other areas of our trade and investment relationship in these areas such as advanced manufacturing and robotics and critical minerals. We believe that the work between Modi and Commerce under the supply chain and commercial dialogue will foster increased collaboration and strengthen the international competitiveness of U.S. and Korean industries. And I know that you'll be hearing from another part of Commerce today, the National Institute of Standards and Technologies. My colleague Jason Bain will be speaking, as was mentioned earlier. And we also want to highlight, as you did, Minister On, this letter of intent signed yesterday to explore mutually beneficial cooperative relationship and acknowledge the importance of technology as the basis of achieving well-balanced and sustained social and economic development. This letter of intent builds on the existing cooperation on advanced networking, and we think this will benefit both sides and be very productive. Thank you again for your time today, and I look forward to continuing this important engagement to strengthen U.S. and Korean cooperation. I hope all of you have a very productive day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Moroney. Great. Now we have another congratulatory remarks by the President of Korea Electronics Technology Institute, Mr. Hee Dong-shin. Please welcome him to the stage with a big round of applause. Welcome.
Good morning, all of the distinguished guests. I'm Hee Dong-shin, the President of Korea Electronic Technology Institute, KETI. I'm very honored to be here at Korea-US Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum 2002. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all of you and congratulate you on the opening this forum. I hope that this event will serve as a venue for enhancing and expanding bilateral cooperation further. Cooperation is a must, not an option. As you know, the industrial and the economic paradigm is rapidly shifting. Countries around the world are sparing no effort to create a new global supply chain and to lead the great industrial transformation. However, we can change ourselves and grow only when we see such global environmental change as an opportunity for cooperation, not a crisis. In this regard, it is high time for both countries to collaborate with each other. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the effectuation of the Korea-US Free Trade Agreement, and especially in the ROK-US Summit in this year, both countries have committed to strengthening bilateral technology cooperation. As the old Korean saying goes, two heads are better than one. To make a substantial and effective results, both the Republic of Korea and US should take active action and make efforts to do so. I have no doubt that when we do this, the bilateral cooperation on promising areas, including semiconductor, will contribute to enhancing industrial competitiveness of both countries. KETI will join the great journey. KETI is a business-friendly research institute that has contributed to improving technology competitiveness of Korea. As the climber accompanies Sherpa on a high and low mountain road, the KETI will stand together at the starting point for robust and bilateral cooperation. KETI will serve as a strong partner for both countries to expand mutual cooperation based on KETI's research capability and network. I would like to invite all of you to join this great journey with huge support and interest. Once again, I sincerely congratulate you on the opening of the Korea-US Industrial Technology Cooperation Forum 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Yes, we are going to climb the mountain together. Thank you. Now I'd like to have one more congratulatory remarks by Mr. John Neuffer, the President and CEO of Semiconductor Industry Association. Please give Mr. Neuffer a huge round of applause.
Well, hello everyone, good morning. Mountain climbing does sound like a good idea right now. It's great to be here. It's an honor to be here, to join all of you and the many impressive special guests here this morning. I want to thank Moti and KIAT for inviting me to attend this impressive forum to share a few brief perspectives on Korea-U.S. cooperation on a topic that has become very central in our national and global dialogue, and that's semiconductors. The tiny chips that power just about everything with an electrical current flowing through it. Semiconductor Industry Association, or SIA, is based in Washington, D.C. We represent about 99% of the U.S. semiconductor industry and nearly 2/3 of the global chip industry. We also have many international members, including some very big Korean players, such as Samsung and SK Hynix, and we are very proud to have them in our membership. Our industry is critical to the global economy. The technologies of tomorrow depend on semiconductor innovation for such things as AI, quantum computing, 5G, and 6G. As many of you know, the U.S. and Korea are very complementary in our roles. The U.S. has 2/3 of the logic and analog market, while Korea has secured 2/3 of the memory chip market. Korea is very, very important to our industry and to our country. Bottom line, we are both very big players in the global chip market, and the global economy depends on our respective strengths. However, we face some very big challenges, including the global chip shortage, which is thankfully improving, heightened inflation, and a swirl of geopolitical tensions impacting our industry. In that context, we see many opportunities for our two countries to work together to coordinate on incentive policies, to cooperate on R&D and trade, and to together improve innovation, resiliency, and the workforce in our sector. And that last piece of it is very important. For our part, here in the U.S., President Biden signed into law the U.S. CHIPS and Science Act of 2022 on the west lawn of the White House in August. That's a historic $52 billion piece of legislation to reinvigorate chip manufacturing and design and research in the U.S. I'd like to add, while this legislation is about promoting innovation and manufacturing on U.S. soil, it is not at the exclusion of non-U.S. players, including Korean companies, nor is it an attempt to decouple from global supply chains. It is about rebalancing our supply chains and addressing vulnerabilities. In fact, the fact that President Biden has toured Samsung's most advanced chip fab in Korea and promoted an investment project by SK in Michigan is a testament to this openness. We have been thrilled to hear recent impressive commitments from Korean firms to construct fabrication facilities, or fabs, here in the U.S. This legislation will drive our industries and countries even closer together. I firmly believe that. So with that, I look forward to the fruitful discussion today, and thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Neuffer. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your warm words, everyone. And now I'd like to update you on the agreements the two countries have signed in line with the forum. If you look at the screen, first, the president of the Korea Institute for Advancement of Technology and the National Institute for Standards Technology of the U.S. signed a letter of intent yesterday. Congratulations. Great. And also, the Korea Institute of Industrial Technology and Auburn University signed an MOU at the university on December 6th. And the MOU is expected to usher Korean suppliers of automobile materials and parts into the U.S. market. Congratulations. And we look forward to your continuous support in strengthening technological cooperation between Korea and American institutions. Now we will take a few minutes to take photos with the VIPs. Could all the VIPs come up to the stage, please? We'd like to remember this wonderful moment forever, so let's take some photos. We have our distinguished guests coming up on the stage. In this cheerful morning, beautiful morning, we're going to take a photo together. So please look at the camera. Are we all ready? Great. So if we are ready, please look at the cameras. There are many cameras, but look at the one in the middle. The camera in the center. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Smile. One more. 1, 2, 3. Shall we do Korean style fighting? Do you know what fighting is? Yes, we're going to go for it. Cooperate together. Fighting. 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 Yes, we love fighting. Fighting. 1, 2, 3. Fighting. It doesn't mean that we're going to fight, but we're going to go through the uncertainties together. Thank you very much. Please go back to your seat. Thank you. Please give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much. And that was the end of the opening session. Now, we'd like to begin the thematic speech session. And we have 3 speakers ready with wonderful presentations. So we look forward to the presentation. So I'm honored to present the first speaker. And first speaker is Professor Jun-Seok Hwang from Seoul National University. When the stage is ready, I'd like to welcome Professor Hwang. He will deliver his speech titled U.S.-Korea Strategic Industry Innovation Partnership for Global Frontier Technology Leadership. So when the stage is ready, I will be privileged to have Professor Hwang on the stage. We have thematic speech session, and also we have another presentations. So in the first, thematic session and policy session. So each session we're going to have 3 speakers, and the first speaker who will open the thematic speech will be Professor Hwang. Okay. Actually, it takes longer than I thought. Okay, Professor Hwang, are you ready? Yep. Great. Okay, we're almost done. Thank you very much for your patience. And we're going to have the presentation up on the screen. And I'd like to make sure if everything is set up, you'd like to test, because we'd like to make sure that everything is comfortable for you. 이거 잘 넘어가게 한 번만 도와주시겠습니까?
Okay.
Working?
Yeah.
So are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes. So please join me in welcoming Professor Hwang on the stage.
Good morning, everyone. As introduced, my name is Jun-Seok Hwang, and I'm going to start with the title, U.S.-Korea Strategic Industrial Innovation Partnership for the Global Frontier Technology Leadership. Well, I think when I showed this one to my friend, some of my Korean friends, and also the American friends say, "Are you like a black-haired foreigner?" So, are you American or Korean? Or so, I would say, definitely I'm Korean, but majority of my family is American. Only Korean in my family living now is myself, my wife, and my mom. So anyway, I born in Korea, but I've been educated in the state, as you know, and the DC is home for me as of research, as an IT expert, and some of you may know TPRC, Dr. Atkinson, and I'm very honored to see him. Well, I think DC is capital not only of the United States, and capital of the frontierism. And frontierism has several values, but especially in a time we say future. Well, that future, we believe eternity, and the futuristic is actually dwelled in our effort, what we call the research. I have a fond memory about the DC, not only as a place I used to come for TPRC with all my friends, and meeting also FCC and people, and engineering public policy, and law, and other people. At the same time, I see the people, the fathers of frontierism has been born. I'd like to mention first that futuristic frontier report written by Dr. Vannevar Bush, who I believe the founder of NSF for the United States, and who have been nurturing and blessing, anointing the state as a country who will ever be the frontier in innovation. The second, also father, I really like to mention, today's talk is about the job, okay? The job of and my boss, who was the passing dean of Ray-Von Duran, who have been actually really frontieristic to create a new school called School of International Studies, Information Studies, in very early stage in Syracuse University, and who have been actually making our campus in Washington, D.C., out of upstate New York in Syracuse. That is frontierism. My also last very fond memory with my soul brother and my friend, passing Norman Anderson. And you may know who he is. So Norman Anderson were my colleague whom I invited as a distinguished professor in Seoul University when I first created a Smart City Global Convergence degree, which is the first degree in the world as a global qualification degree for master and PhD, to try to create the global infrastructure and innovation infrastructure for the humanity, for this sustainability. So I'm very happy to be the home of these frontier fathers. As a DC, I think we chose the right place as a Korean. So let me move on to, so now I'm representing not only Seoul University, but representing also as a founding director of the International Technology Policy Program, which has been a global innovation network building for the last 20 years by educating the frontier, which we say digital transformation leader, since 2003. And I'm still acting as the director of that. I would believe that will be the foundation. The second one I created is also a national designated center called Global R&D Center. This is also the first innovation center which does act as an innovation system building out of the R&D. So not only necessarily just getting a project, it creates the R&D ecosystem that can be, technology diffusion marketplace, and finally, actually globally. And science technology diplomacy is done. And that's the way that also how I interconnected with also your Department of Commerce to working on these Endless Frontier Act and others. And finally, many of these, actually give us to some of the impression why we need a smart city global convergence. And also very happy that the other frontier from Florida, who came to Korea last year, where I was invited by the U.S. Embassy to listen to their talk. And we were very impressed, like Kia is doing for the United States, and the first handshake came from the Florida, and by your ambassador recommendation and promoting the future of Osceola County, which I believe the new civilization capital, and they call New York City. So let me give some storyline out of today's. So this is the highlight. Probably I've been actually researching this one more than 2 or 3 years. So, and my area of the research is how technology and industrial policy to interact with the actual business and innovation. And then, especially in my area of expertise, is how the innovation policy in Korea could be intertwined or integrated with the US policy. And we know that we are reviving the industrial policy because we know that governmental power and public innovation is very important. And we have been actually experimenting a lot of market power and market innovation over the years, and we still believe that privatization is very important, but we still believe that national leadership and public innovation by NSF, by DOC, by many of also the municipality, very important. So that is what we call the public-private partnership and innovation dynamic. And both nations is very strong on it, and this is the right time for us to start to work together. What makes us strong? The one you see on the left side, Digital Transformation Global Infrastructure Index, what we have been strong for so far, powered by mostly on hardware innovation. Yeah, it is coupled with smart technology, and but still we are hungry and starving in many of soft power, which is actually not only semiconductor design, firmware, and leading future computing and space science. But at the same time, also United States have been actually kind of sharing this power, by outsourcing and other things, and then corporations in the global economy. And soft power have been very strengthened in the state, but in turn, and hard power have been the weakness, recently, maybe for several reasons. Why we should come for these soft and hard power together as a job is because we have a new way of labor, and we have a new way of job, which we say AI, robots, and smart factory, which may create different value of the job. And then there's no point that where you do all these labor, or there's no need you separate the value system indifferent. And what it means, everyone can be intelligent and everyone can be very smart. And by the capacity building, that both nations can do such thing as a model for the future civilization and future job creation. And so today's talk is also about that job, how that job will be changed by our cooperation. So let me go to start with the Korean side of the story. Many of you, because half of our audience are the American, I would say, then I want you to learn what we are doing now. The first, digital platform government, and someone asked me, what is platform? Okay, platform government. Well, you have many ways, but from my sense of innovation and also the economics and technology, platform governance or governments are working in a condition when there's a short or relatively small gap in intellectual capability and at the same time digital capacity. So that's what we called the digital literacy. So where you have, when you have citizens, workers, and educators, and the people who are smart enough, and information is flowing through the democracy, not by the party dictatorship or other society do, but by these politics, then that's a healthy nation, and for, for the global prosperity, with that democracy is really intertwined by the technology innovation, and there we say the platform concept of government will work. Definitely the platform will work for the trust, and the platform work for the collective intelligence, and platform work for, not for the competition, but for market creation and value creation. I don't believe we are here to compete with anyone. What we are competing is for the future, and what we are competing is for ourselves. But we are creating a job, what Biden often say, the possibility. America is the possibility, and Korea is the possibility too. And together, we'll be able to create that new market of space and economy. That's why we are cooperating together. So not necessarily, we are competing with, China and other society. There's no reason. That definitely. And our desperate is how we create the future, what we say, frontierism, and I will explain also Formula F, to solve all these problems. So anyway, so Korea now works on the, how to improve the way of working and its information security, and how to utilize AI data in the job, and also with the not the product based, but how you can create the service that also service-oriented job, so that the people not necessarily working on making a factory on the laborism. And definitely we need to improve the infrastructure. As you see, the recent natural disasters such as flood, and also very traumatic social accident happened in Itaewon, shows us our technical planning and qualification is not meeting into the new way of living what we are currently facing, and including climate change. And in that way, our infrastructure need to build again. And that is not only for the state. We need new infrastructure, build back better in Korea too. And at the same time, we need new way of industrial system, what do I say, innovation system. We often have our, a national innovation system by creating some complex research park, and we have the regional, possibly, but those are all separate. We need to create the innovation system like KIAD is doing to complement how national innovation system work with the global innovation system. How these innovation systems work working together to create the leadership as a frontiers. And I think we are the all first people who will witness that we are the first people as a frontier of creating this forum. So the same thing, for the digital government is try to provide as a government or nation, to implement intelligent public services, and that means a lot of data to be used and quality of data it's a coincidence, but we have a Dataversity forum going on right for last week and coming this week, and the folks in the next two, and these are the public leaders on the data quality in this base and in the United States. I was very enjoyable to also watching them over because I came over a little bit earlier. So anyway, the quality of data very important, and you should be confident in the data, and those data need to be accessible by many reasons, and Korea has in the city level open data, right? And in industrial level, we also try to create the data center, for sector specific by the support of many ministries. And at the same time, also individuals should be able to have a data for job creation, right? Their own job. What I mean is they will not be employed. They will be the employee themselves, or they will create the job by themselves. So we have a different meaning of the job, what we will be, an individual will be the job creator. I don't believe we need that much of conglomerate so far. And how to facilitate the data, because if the government works for the smart citizen, definitely what it will be. Not only the politicians should be smart enough, but also data they are dealing with should be smart. Because I know the politicians are smart, The problem is data is misinterpreted. If they lack of information, finally their decision can be misleading. That's what we see in both United States and North Korea. Okay, sorry to say that, but by improving the data, it can be. And data is a way you can build the trust and relationship. And how, but people are not willing to share the data for current state or past because those are not complete, and people will say, you are not, eligible. The second one, but, if you are sharing the data for the future and the benefit you are sharing, and that creates a trust. So that's how we are trying to create the open data, and strengthening the foundation for the data transformation is about the data and data sharing and federation. Why we need these, cooperation between the United States and Korea? Because both of our countries are data-rich country. So quality of data we are dealing with is very data-rich, and so I'm not going to go over, but I think I would say since our Park Geun-hye administration and what we so-called the creative economy at the time, people did not know how you can define, but 2016, Davos Forum defined the fourth industrial revolution, and yes, we were talking a little bit in advance of what is fourth industrial revolution, and that was already happening in Korea as a frontier. So we now interpret in that fourth industrial revolution since 2013, and then have been developing now in a stage of digital platform, and then government that will also strengthen our capability of cooperation with many leaders in the world that include United States and other parts of the world. So I'm not going to go over too much where we are that strong, but in Korea, data transformation capability building, including semiconductor engineers and frontiers to be needed. And so there's still a lot of investment going on in the human resource, also capacity building, and also pouring toward a lot of research and education money for our young generation. I think that's the strength. The who is rich, the people who would be able to spend the money for the future is rich people, and that future to be shared with everyone is leader. So our meaning of that one is very important. I know everyone knows that innovation is symbol of United States. Yes, there's no reason that where you are ranked, because you have been ranked there for a long time, right? But we are the new leader. We've been recently ranked #1, but I don't believe we will rank forever. But it's like a soccer game or World Cup, right? Brazil is world leader, UK is world leader, Germany is. So once you're in the lead, there's not that much meaning, but you're the leader. That is symbolically, these frontiers is very important. We should work on something. I don't need to mention too much how much money we are working on. Both of us need to spend a lot of money. So in any way, the United States and Korea are symbolically actually representing such leader for the future frontier, and actually, having right people with the right system, how you can make a global democracy and also shared prosperity. And what World Bank say. So Korea's current infrastructure initiative is not only working for Korea. We know the need of creating new infrastructure, such as EV charger, and also transforming city to the smart city. And smart city is the infrastructure of the semiconductor, including many new ways of the semiconductor. And you see a lot of evidences of what have been done in both countries. Definitely, I don't need to mention too much, which are already ongoing. But this infrastructure needed by other emerging economy, and they need to start up from that and not going for the whole infrastructure. That is market creation, I think. Why? Because also we are working on the sustainability issues in the world. So both U.S. and Korea is not only focused on national value for our interest, but we are responsible for the future that is the value for all humanity. And for that reason, Korea kind of promoting the value of green transformation, I see that is very important. And many of the UN headquarters and also green transformation have been actually hosted in Korea. Like, you have all UN organization and finance institute in DC. So when you come in Incheon and Songdo and Seoul, you will see all these, green transformation institute, which I see that right approach. Another one, you may look at Korea as a very competitive or attractive is Smart City Initiative. This is continuous support by our Ministry of Land, Transportation, Infrastructure, and it's 20 years of investment by our government on the name of Ubiquitous City. And R&D and business has been creating the economy and the frontier who is now ready to make all these R&D into business in a way of where you can do standard. Many of us in DC understand and agreed on the importance of standardization and why it is important for the innovation. At the same New York City. And that institute will actually create such kind of innovation system. And then the reason is you need a modality. United States is different. Korea is one government, but it's a United States. The legal procedure in the United States is very different. You need to work, as a Korean businessman or industry, to work both in the federal level but also government research institute, where they actually drive the fund. And at the same time, also you need to work with a municipality, which you will say county or city or state. So I believe that currently that KIAT is doing and trying to do is right approach. And such thing has not been done so far because Korean innovation was top down. But in the platform economy and platform innovation, it is different. You have to walk in all the level and create the terrestrial level, and this is possible because both of us are the global. So I'm not going to walk, and tremendous money from both United States and Korea will be spent, but we need to use that well for the people, for our family. And so my conclusion of this one is strategic alliance between United States and Republic of Korea very needed by coupling some of opportunity what we have. I believe both nations will actually invest on on this strategic area. And I'd like to say the last word as Formula F. Okay, this is the forum for the future frontier, and not only in Florida, for our families, both in Korea and the United States, at the same time, families in the world. I think job is about family. Job is about family. Because whoever who try to get a job is try to prove yourself identity and what you are doing as a family member and doing for the society, at the same time what you are doing for your family. So I hope this Formula F can be really succeed well like we succeeded in NSF and also, and KIAT in Korea. Hope that tradition can continue. Thank you very much for my long talk. Thank you.
Yes, we have some problems, and I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. And Professor Huang, thank you so much. Despite the surprise that he continued his presentation so smoothly. Once again, a big hand to Professor Huang. Thank you so much. And now we have our speaker already on the stage. Please welcome Dr. Robert Atkinson, the president of the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation. He will deliver a speech titled Rethinking Globalization, Industrial Policy, and Allied Relations in a New Era of Tech Competition. Please welcome Dr. Atkinson.
So, some people actually do think I'm a robot, but I'll try to be a little more emotional today. I'm also going to talk super fast because I only have 15 minutes, so I really want to get through this quickly, so just kidding. So I've been asked to cover this gigantic topic, which I will try to do in very much highlights, of course. So if you don't know ITIF, we're the top-ranked global think tank on technology and science. We've been around since 2006, and we focus on a broad array of issues around technology policy, and we do that both in the US and in Korea. In fact, I've spoken at many, many events in Seoul on these topics, largely because Korea is so focused on advancing innovation and want to learn more about how to do that. Also, I would mention that we lead an organization or a network called the Global Trade and Innovation Policy Alliance, gtipa.org, of which the Korean Institute for Industrial Economics and Trade, KIET, is a member, and we just had our annual meeting in Seoul probably about a month ago. So, I would argue we're at an inflection point, and it's an inflection point that there's no going back to, and people are slowly grappling with it, slowly coming to terms with it, because it's a fundamentally painful inflection point. This is how we thought about globalization. If you've ever seen this Coca-Cola commercial, everybody's happy, we're all one world, we're all singing songs, we're holding hands, and that's what we thought globalization was going to be. China was going to become like both of us, it's going to become democratic, it's going to become open market, and the like. This is actually what globalization is like. It's a battle. Those elephants, I should put a Chinese emblem on them there. So essentially, globalization didn't turn out the way we thought it was going to turn out, and principally because of China. We should be honest about that. They are this big distorting force. And I would argue that China broke globalization. China essentially pursues what you could call power trade, state capitalism, whatever you want to call it. And this is, by the way, very different than the East Asian development model that Taiwan, Japan, and Korea have pursued. That was about moving up the value chain, but doing it in largely fair and legitimate ways, licensing technology from America. China, they're not doing that at all. As my colleague Lisa Tobin with Eric Schmidt's Special Competitive Studies program calls it, she calls it brute force economics. So in response to this new reality in the world, where China has made it very clear that they are not David Ricardians, they don't believe in comparative advantage, they want to destroy, they want to lead in all industries, and that means destroying other industries. So we've seen that in multiple industries: solar panels, telecom equipment, shipbuilding, which is an area Korea was strong in, and now it's China. And then increasingly, they want to do that in chips and other industries. So what do we need to do? I would argue we need to do two things. We need to think much more carefully, rather than a global system of MFN where everybody's equal and partnering. We need to think much more about a narrower set of like-minded allies who work deeply and closely together. We need a kind of new power trade, if you will, where we impose restrictions on China. We help slow down China together. We can't do that individually because China is so big and so powerful that they play us off against each other. So that means two things. It means the U.S. has to have a new industrial policy, and it means we have to work more collaboratively with our allies, which is the focus, and rightly so, of this event. If you're not from the United States, you may wonder why I put this slide up, but this is a famous quote by a chief economic advisor, head of the Council of Economic Advisors about 25 years ago. And he said, back when we were, again, once thinking about semiconductors and a policy, he said, computer chips, potato chips, what's the difference? And I'll tell you what the difference is. Imagine if Samsung and SK Hynix were the global leaders in potato chips. You know, they got different flavors, they got different sizes. I mean, it's unbelievable, massive power in the potato chip industry. We wouldn't be talking about Korea, okay? So the idea, it's almost nonsensical idea that you can be indifferent to your industrial and technological makeup is a nonsensical idea, but it was one that held sway in America and continues to hold some sway. And that's why the CHIPS Act was so important. Besides being important for driving this critical industry and building up, rebuilding U.S. capacity, it was critical because it was the term crossing the Rubicon. It put us onto a new place where it's more acceptable to say there are strategic industries in America that we have to focus on. Let me just share a couple of slides about a recent study we did. It's called the Hamilton Index on Advanced Industries. It's on our website. And what we did, which really no one else has ever done in the world, I'm aware of, we used OECD data on advanced industry production. And we looked at 7 advanced industries, and we looked at 10 countries. The advanced industries are semiconductors, aerospace, motor vehicles, electrical equipment, machinery and equipment, software and AI, and then also biopharmaceutical. And what you see on this is the y-axis is just the size of output, the size of value add, or the size of the industry. And you can see that the U.S. has a slightly bigger global market share than China in all of these advanced industries put together. But this is 2018 data, and I would pretty much bet a lot of money that if we were looking at this data today, you'd see a little bit of a flip with China now being in the lead. Now, what the vertical or y-axis, x-axis is, that is the intensity of these industries. How much of these advanced industries, semiconductors, advanced machinery, software, how much of these industries, how much do they make up your economy? Are they the same share as the global share? So if you look at that, what you see is you can see Korea up in the, I don't know if that's, there you go, Korea's there. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, Korea is not as big a country, or an economy, and so of course you're going to be a smaller share of the global market than, say, China or the US. But what that means is that the overall these advanced industries make up more than twice the global average in Korea. So you're more than double intensity of these industries. You just got way more relative to what the rest of your economy is than the global average. Only Taiwan is above you. So we looked at 75 countries that make up 90% of global GDP. Only Taiwan is above you. Now, if you look at the US, what you can't really see there is that we're below the global average. So think about that. When you take all of these advanced industries and say, how much are they of the share of the US economy? The answer is below the global average. And you can see this over time. This is, again, just for the US. But you can see this is basically aerospace done okay. Think about Google, Microsoft. Those have done okay. But the rest of what you see is pretty much every single industry has lost global market share, and they've become smaller parts of our economy over the last 25 years. If you look at motor vehicles, for example, the US is about half. We have about half the motor vehicles production as the global average. Now compare that to Mexico or Germany or China. Korea is about 1.6, companies like Hyundai and Kia. If you look at machinery and equipment, you can see Korea is doing very well. almost twice the global average. But look at Germany, look at Japan, incredible strengths in machinery and equipment. China, gigantic. And the US is about 0.6. So this, to me, these kinds of numbers should be real wake-up calls. And this is, clearly the most interesting one, I think, for a US-Korean audience. These are computers, electronics, and optical, which is what they're combined in the data. And computers and, electronics would include semiconductors. And so what you see is Korea is just sitting out here all by itself, essentially, $138 billion in output, massive specialization there, 2.5 times the global average. Okay. So that's, I think, the layout of where the US is and where Korea is. So Korea has real strengths. One thing I didn't share on that is if you go and have the slide on IT and other services, so this would be things like software, AI, et cetera. Korea actually doesn't do very well. US does pretty well. That's our core strengths. Korea actually doesn't do well. And I think that's an interesting avenue or opportunity to build on our strengths, which is perhaps your weaknesses, and vice versa. So how can we kind of take the best of both of our countries to build better collaborative partnership? What does the U.S. need to do? I would argue we need to embrace what we call national developmentalism, the idea that the job of government is to promote the strength and power of the U.S. economy. We did that back when we built the Intercontinental Railroad. We did it in the space age with John F. Kennedy. Interesting statistic, in 1963, the United States government spent more on research and development than every other country, business and government combined. So take every other country, take all their government R&D, and take all their corporate R&D, and the US government alone was spending more on R&D. Unfortunately, we now are spending less on R&D in the US as a share of GDP than we did before Sputnik. That's why the CHIPS and Science Act was so important, because it was a clear signal to say, we can't keep doing that. So, what does that innovation system look like? One, it needs to be based on the core fundamental premise: we have to have a new national advanced technology strategy based on beating China. Doing a little bit more of the same is not going to cut it. Second, policymakers can't be indifferent to industrial structure. If the United States does not have a chip industry, we are no longer a global power. Look what we did to Russia when they invaded Ukraine. With collaboration of Korea and a number of other countries, we essentially cut off their chip exports. Good luck, Russia, building your economy now. Car factories are shutting down. Their weapon systems are in trouble. Principle number 3, while the private sector has to lead, both here and in Korea, there's no question about that, government has to play a supportive role. And fourth, and most importantly for this session, any strategy the U.S. puts forward has to be done with our allies. And this is perhaps the most important question. The U.S. has to figure out what they want to do. Because if you think about it on a sort of a continuum, the more we go towards things like the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, with specific localization requirements, the harder it will be to build alliances with key allies. On the other hand, the U.S. is like, well, hey, we've got to build up our industrial base. So there's this tension in the U.S. politics between building up our own industrial base, advanced industry base, and at the same time building really strong alliances, both to advance our co-interest, but also to counter China. And it's not clear to me how the U.S. is going to resolve that question. I hope they resolve it in the way of saying, let's build alliances. One of the things that we could have done is we could have said, in the IRA, in a number of other these provisions that have Buy America provisions, we could have said, if you're a close ally, if you're sort of in our club, helping us to push back against China, collaborating with us on innovation, IRA doesn't apply to you. Buy America doesn't apply to you. But if you're not in the club, if you don't care about this and you just want to do whatever you want with China and you're not going to assist us, then perhaps you're going to be subject to these IRA provisions. In any case, we have to sort of figure this out, and we haven't quite figured out what to do. I would argue we need a new allied technology cooperation system. I understand right now we're taking baby steps of signing MOUs, having specific agreements, all to the good, more the better. But I think we actually have to go in a step further and really begin to say, we've got to formalize this. One of those things is I think we need a new joint export control regime with just core allies that work together. We need to be sharing commercial counterintelligence about what the Chinese are doing. And then secondly, we really do have to have proactive technology cooperation. Now, you're building that here, I applaud that. But it has to be one where government provides resources on each side, but again, the private sector has to lead this cooperation. If the private sector is not interested in cooperating, or the terms are too onerous and restrictive, we're not going to be able to go forward with that. So with that, I'm 10 seconds over. Don't cut my mic off. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Atkinson. Whew, the microphone was on. Very good. Last but not least, we have one more special thematic speech, Mr. Hanbin Lee, the CEO of Seoul Robotics. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
All right, thank you for having me. I grew up in godforsaken tundra of New Hampshire and Boston area, and some of you are from Florida, so I envy you guys for living down there where only if you make it from New Hampshire, you can go down to Florida and retire. So today I'm going to talk about what we do and how Korean government has helped us to grow our company tenfold. So right now what we're doing is we are automating 300,000 cars with only 300 sensors. So today's speech, there's twofold, what we do and how we got the help from the Korean government. So our product, before we start, we founded in 2017. We have clients such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volvo, Qualcomm, and we are the first ever startup to be nominated as a BMW Group supplier. Usually you have to be a big corporation to get that. Now we have 70 people. Total investment up to date is $40 million. We have an office in Silicon Valley, Munich, and Seoul. So this is a problem we're solving. So whenever a car is manufactured until it gets delivered to the customer, it needs to be driven by people. In the parking lot, factories, somebody needs to load the car to ship to trains and trucks. And this is the area that we are automating. We bring autonomous driving technology to basically reduce the cost for the manufacturers. By doing that, we are reducing the cost for the clients, the end consumers. And this is a video of our system automating these cars to be loaded to a train station on the right side. Now, traditionally, when you think about self-driving car, you think about the sensors in the car, whether it's LiDAR, radar, or maybe there's no LiDAR, radar, just the camera on the car. But our system is slightly different because putting the system on the car right now is increasing the car production cost, and the technology is not there yet. So, but the infrastructure, such as parking lots, traffic lights, are owned by our client, and we decide to put everything on the system. So the infrastructure has the self-driving car system on it, and we're not adding anything to the vehicle. The vehicle already comes with connectivity and some sort of ADAS functions. So without attaching any extra piece of hardware, we can automate these vehicles using the teleoperation, and we're doing everything from the infrastructure side. And so we've been working together with BMW for the last 3 years. And this is a video of our system automating the car that is freshly printed out at the factory in Munich. This car is swerving around the corner like a human driver without anybody in it. Again, everything is driven from the infrastructure, and car simply receives a command from using the existing 4G network that is in the car, and there's a private network in the BMW factory ground. And by doing so, we can save a lot of money for the OEMs. And we're the only one who has ever built this large amount of system to cover the entire factory ground. We're the first ever to come this close to commercialization. And I'm just gonna skip through because there's a lot of I like to keep my stuff short. So I want to go into how Korean government has helped us, especially Kiat. The love story, Seoul Robotics, BMW, and Kiat. So the biggest problem why they want to automate this is because, my gosh, this mic is, I don't want to bend down. All right, so there's a massive driver shortage. In US, actually, there's a lot of car manufacturers have factories in Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama, including Hyundai, Kia, and Nissan, and BMW, all down there in a warmer region where there's not so much snow. It's unlike the New Hampshire where I grew up. So there's just not enough drivers, and this is increasing the cost of production. And the BMW wanted to solve that. So they came to us in 2019. It's like, could you build this kind of system? But we only had 15 people. This project was too big. We only had location in Korea. We just had lack of resources. But I said, sure, we'll do it. We'll do it. And then we asked for the money. We asked for a lot of money. And BMW said, well, I don't know if we can trust you guys, but perhaps if somebody else wants to finance it, whether that be government or the investors, we can be your first guinea pig. So I said, okay, fine, sure. We went to the Korean government as well as the investors. Investors gave us some money, like about $7 million. We also went to Kiat together. And this is a photo of us signing the signing day between the BMW, Kiat, and Seoul Robotics. Kiat sponsored $2.5 million. So this is a win-win-win for everybody. So BMW didn't pay for the engineering effort or the hardware for the initial deployment side. The Korean government paid for it. So we got to retain all the IP. And so the BMW didn't have to pay for the deployment cost. But when the system was done, now they're paying us monthly license. And now we're getting paid from the monthly license from BMW. Now we make money. Now we pay the Korean government back their money as well as the German government because our subsidiary from Munich is getting the money from BMW. So the government invests. We made a product. Our end client is now could save hundreds of millions of dollars on the logistics cost because again, it's a lot of money just to move these cars around, and now the Korean government gets the benefit. Now where we are today, we worked really hard for the last 2 years, and now we're helping these factories and logistics parking lots, not just the factories, but it could be rental car facilities or used car sales out, to be automated from the infrastructure, again, not attaching anything to the car. And now the project is pretty successful, and now BMW is openly talking about it. And now where we are today, we just recently raised $25 million in September, even though the market is pretty darn bad. It was pretty tough to raise this money, but thanks to BMW, and the investors are pretty excited about our future. We just celebrated 5 years, and before the Kiat and BMW, we only had 15 people. Now we have 70 people in 3 different locations. And not just the BMW, we're talking to 11 major OEMs, including the OEMs in US and Europe, and Japanese and Korean OEMs who have factories in the south of the US. And again, this is all, it's a beautiful love story between a little startup and end client who wants to save money, and the Korean government who's willing to risk the precious taxpayers' money to support us. With that, I'll keep it short, and thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a lovely love story. Thank you. So now I'd like to proceed with the policy session, where we'll invite 3 speakers. And the first speaker is Mr. Chun-Kyo Park, the Director General of the International Cooperation Division at Kiat. So his presentation is titled Collaborative R&D Policy of Korea and Revitalization for Korea-US Industry Cooperation. Please welcome him.
Good morning. I'm Chun-Kyo Park, Director General of International Cooperation Division at Kiat. I don't understand why most of the presentation before me getting longer than I expect, and why most of my presentation is right before lunch. So I'll try to finish my presentation as quick as possible. I'm pleased to be part of this forum and to present the collaborative R&D of Korea and the revitalization of Korea-US industry cooperation. This is the content of the presentation today. And first of all, I would like to briefly explain about Kiat, who we are, what we do. Kiat is the public institute under the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy, established in 2009 to promote industrial technology and innovation and to support the development of related policies. As you can see, the total budget of KIAT this year is approximately $1.6 billion US, and this budget is allocated to international cooperation in industrial technology account for 8.8%. KIAT is a comprehensive industrial technology R&D support organization for promotion of industrial technology, innovating, and policy development. As you can see, KIAT consists of 9 divisions in 3 departments and 1 center, and the number of employees in 2022 is about 410 people. This slide explains what we do in more detail, but you can see all this on KIAT homepage, www.kiat.or.kr. KIAT helps enterprises enter overseas market and the global network with the broader goal of enhancing the global competitiveness of industrial companies. Supports have been provided for international joint R&D projects conducted by domestic industries, universities, and institutes, and excellent overseas R&D institutions to respond to the opening, convergence, and globalization of industrial technology. And also, KIAT is supporting the open innovation of Korean R&D entities by creating the global technology cooperation ecosystem like 3 pillars. We have bilateral cooperation with 14 countries and also multilateral cooperation with about 46 countries based on the Eureka platform. In addition to this, we also support networking events by running global technology in 6 regions globally, including KIAT Washington, D.C. office, Global Commercialization Center in 6 countries to support commercialization. I also would like to introduce the National Cooperation Center, NCC, in Korea to support the private sector to find out their R&D cooperation partners and to plan collaborative R&D projects. These 6 public research institutes support small and medium enterprises to find out their R&D cooperation demands, to match partners in other countries, and to plan collaborative R&D projects. After the morning session, there will be a tech talk, and NCC will have seminars to share the technological trend of 4 sectors: semiconductor technology and application, ICT and future mobility, smart manufacturing, and biomedical, and discuss possible cooperation with the United States. This map shows the foundations which help the private sectors to actively cooperate with global partners. Global Tech, NCC, and Korea Technology Advisory Group, KTEC, are playing as an important roles to support the collaborative R&D activities. Most of them are here at the forum, and I hope you will have productive discussion with them. I would like to highlight that Korea gained Eureka full membership in June this year. As you probably know, Eureka is the biggest European R&D platform, and I'm very pleased to be the first non-European country to become a full member country. Using this experience, KIAT is trying to expand our cooperation to the United States. The US is one of the countries which Korean companies would like to cooperate the most. However, there is a lack of information on which industry or sector we need to prioritize. Therefore, KIAT conducted the online survey from October, and Korean private sectors, research institute, universities, and Korean engineers and professors in the United States. have responded to this survey. The survey includes the overview of technology areas desired for R&D cooperation with U.S. organizations, its scope, and a brief proposal on cooperation, and so on. Since this survey is still ongoing, I will briefly share the interim result of the survey. According to the survey, the majority of the institutions participated is small and medium enterprises, 70%, and universities, 16.5%. This tells you that the institutions willing to cooperate with the United States is small and medium enterprises. The result shows that the technologies in demand for cooperation are mostly in the field of electrical, electronics, and machinery and materials. It accounts for 26.5%. Semiconductor components and non-memory are the subsectors which Korea wants to collaborate with the United States the most. What we do next? After finishing conducting the survey, we will finalize the analysis of the demand survey and discuss with the relevant organization in the United States about the result. The result of the survey can be used to design Korea-US joint R&D cooperation program and to recognize the possible sector for Korean and the US organizations to cooperate. This shows a brief strategy for strengthening Korea-US cooperation. KIAT is trying to closely cooperate with the innovative research institute and companies, US Federal R&D Institute like NIST, NSF, and NIH, and the federal and the state government with MOTI. I hope today's meeting will be a good momentum to strengthen our partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Park. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Jason Ram, the Chief of Staff at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. His presentation is titled NIST and CHIPS Act. Please welcome Dr. Ram.
Thank you. It's great to be here this afternoon. So I'll try to keep us on time as well. So first of all, as we already heard earlier in the introductory session, it was a great honor for Undersecretary Locascio to be able to meet with President Min and sign the agreement, the letter of intent between NIST and KIAT. And I think this will be another step in a long-standing collaboration that NIST has had with Korea and various Korean research institutes and organizations. So we look forward to continuing that and the new opportunities that will be brought about by the CHIPS Act, which I'm here to talk about today. For those of you that don't know, NIST is the National Institute for Standards and Technology. We have been around since 1901, working very much then on enabling the Industrial Revolution and that Dr. Atkinson referred to in his remarks as well, playing a key role in working with U.S. industry, setting standards, developing measurement science, working on new advanced technologies, and that is very much what our mission is today. And we are a research institution that brings about world-leading scientific research, programs that focus on strengthening advanced manufacturing in the United States and working to improve technology transfer and set the innovation ecosystem for innovation. And you can see it here by our set of programs. Again, cutting-edge research and laboratories that cut across every aspect of the global economy, from emerging areas like quantum information technology or artificial intelligence to biotechnology, information technology, advanced communications. We provide a number of services to industry and partners in government and across the world through measurement standards, time, the global system of weights and measures, reference materials that we provide to industry, reference data and calibration services that we provide to industry and industrial partners. And then, as I mentioned, we have a number of extramural programs. So really, NIST brings a unique portfolio of programs that cut across the entire innovation ecosystem space, from fundamental research to working directly with partners in industry. Our focus now and where we're looking at for the future are really on driving innovation in critical and emerging technologies, which many of us are working on, and which, the other topic of my talk today, semiconductors and microelectronics are so important to enable. And so we're focused on artificial intelligence, promoting trustworthy and transparent artificial intelligence, on making advances in biotechnology. We've had a long-standing program in cybersecurity and privacy, just this year releasing a number of new potential standard algorithms for post-quantum cryptography, working on next-generation communications, 6G and beyond, energy technologies. As a previous speaker mentioned, this is a major challenge for the world, and so we're working to invest in new technologies and tools to help enable more climate-friendly energy technologies and utilization of energy, and then quantum information science. This is a very exciting time for us all today here in Washington, and the science agencies, NSF and others. The CHIPS Plus Science Act, as it was colloquially known, that was signed by law in August, not only provided a significant investment in semiconductor and microelectronics manufacturing and research and development, but it outlined a number of key areas. And for NIST particularly, the bill included the NIST for the Future Act, and takes a number of steps to strengthen, again, work in critical and emerging technology, new authorities and capabilities to support small manufacturers, new efforts to strengthen and combat supply chain disruption, and again, to strengthen engagement in international standards development. So a very important bill, and something that I think provides a strong platform for future collaboration between the US and Korea. So let me talk a little bit more about the CHIPS for America, and what a lot of us are very interested in today is the efforts to really expand and focus on semiconductor and microelectronics manufacturing. And so when the bill was passed, the department is actually entrusted with enacting a significant portion of that bill, and so we immediately put out a strategy. Our goals for this are to strengthen economic security, to address some of the supply chain challenges that have surfaced over the past several years, to strengthen our ability to promote national security, not just for the US, but for our allies and partners, and then also to support, and really the important foundation of the act is to support future innovation, and to make sure that we have that platform, and a sustainable platform, to be able to drive and continue to innovate and grow and expand in this important technology area. So as many of you know, the CHIPS for America Act created a number of incentives, $50 billion worth of incentives and programs that are to be managed by the Department of Commerce. And so $39 billion is focused on manufacturing incentives. These are to support the production and build out of new fabrication facilities, both at leading edge nodes, advanced memory, advanced logic, and also to incentivize expansion of more mature nodes and other supply chain partners and the broader part of the semiconductor ecosystem in the United States. And so this is a very important part of the program, something we're working very hard on. We'll have more process on that coming out in February, but it's an exciting time. And we just heard the Secretary this morning. We're actually having our Industrial Advisory Committee meeting today as well. So we're getting input from the broad community on how we're shaping and spending how we're designing these programs, specifically the R&D programs. And so that's the other important part of the CHIPS for America Act, is the strong investment that it makes in research and development for the semiconductor industry. And I'll walk through the different programs that we're entrusted with in a little more detail here. The R&D funding, and the Secretary actually said this in her remarks this morning to the Industrial Advisory Committee. She would say that this is the most important piece, because this will be the foundation upon which the future is built. And she is devoting her time and focus on this, and so are we at NIST and the Department of Commerce. The R&D funding is meant to spur and strengthen a domestic innovation infrastructure here in the US, building out new capabilities for prototyping and helping to accelerate innovations, making it to market. R&D collaborations between academia and industry, but also academia and industry with our partners and our allies in this together. And of course, workforce development and training, which will cut across all of these areas and is critical and essential to have this type of effort in the United States. So specifically, the programs collectively are targeting a number of kind of what we would call gaps in the existing R&D ecosystem. We need more access to researchers and companies, and especially small and entrepreneurial companies need more access to facilities and equipment for prototyping, for actually processing the chip and being able to analyze and test and get the data and share the data. We need a key driver of the future innovation is going to be advanced packaging. And so making sure that we have the programs and investments aligned with that, metrology and characterization, new challenges around manufacturing, things like virtualization, digital twinning, all kinds of new innovations that can be applied to and improve the efficiency and impact of semiconductor manufacturing, and of course workforce development as well. So let me just briefly talk about the different programs, the different R&D programs. There's 4 of them specifically that NIST will be establishing here over the coming years and implementing. The first and probably flagship program for the R&D programs is the establishment of a new National Semiconductor Technology Center. This is really meant to be, and you can see here our proposed mission as a focal point for research and engineering throughout the semiconductor ecosystem, advancing and enabling disruptive innovation to provide U.S. leadership in the industries of the future. We intend for this to be, again, it's a public-private partnership, and so we're working on the processes to establish that, but bringing together key players from the industry, companies, again, building out capacity for prototyping facilities and laboratories that will support research and development through a public-private partnership mechanism, funding different projects, working collectively with industry and academia and others, and it will provide opportunities for support for innovative new companies, as well as support for workforce training and development. So this is a big piece. This will be a big driver. This is where a lot of our focus is on right now, a lot of the focus and attention of the Industrial Advisory Committee and the community as we look to shape this, because it will be a true collaborative platform, and this will take a lot of effort to pull together. Closely aligned and critical for the future of this industry and future potential is really the advances in advanced packaging. And so this is something where the bill called out strongly, provided an additional $2.5 billion specifically for advanced packaging in the first year. This is something that we see as a critical program that will support and expand some of the efforts at the National Semiconductor Technology Center that I mentioned previously. But will also provide investments to strengthen the broader ecosystem here in the U.S. to support advanced packaging research and development in areas like tool development, materials and substrate production, and new platform technologies for packaging. But we definitely see areas like heterogeneous integration, a chiplet ecosystem, and other efforts, co-design, being closely linked to and done in partnership with the National Semiconductor Technology Center. Another part of the bill makes investments in metrology and characterization research and development. This is at the heart of NIST mission, and so this will expand existing opportunities for work going on at NIST. NIST has had programs in microelectronics actually since the first transistor was invented. Back in the 40s, but we do work across the entire stack, and so this program will give us the opportunity to expand this effort. And this is an example of the type of opportunity where you can have collaboration between government and government laboratories like NIST, like CRIS, like ETRI, and others on some of these areas. So we've worked with industry, had significant input from our industrial partners, identified 7 grand challenges around metrology and characterization needs, and so we'll be aligning our investments in this space across these areas. And finally, the fourth part of of the bill calls for the establishment of up to 3 new Manufacturing USA institutes. Now, Manufacturing USA is a program that has been around since the 2012 timeframe. Currently, it's a network of 16 institutes set up across the country. These, again, are public-private partnerships that bring together industry, academia, and others to work collectively on areas of manufacturing research and development specific to different industry sectors. So there's some focused on digital manufacturing and design, some focused on flexible electronics, some focused on different types of biotechnology. So we plan to establish perhaps up to 3 new institutes that are going to focus on different areas of semiconductor and manufacturing related manufacturing challenges. And I mentioned virtualization as one, automation it could be another topic area. We actually have a request for information that is out on the street. It closes next week. And so that will be informing the areas of focus that we plan to stand these up in. And again, we are working to all 4 of these programs that I mentioned, the National Semiconductor Technology Center, the Advanced Packaging Program, the metrology work at NIST, and the Manufacturing USA Institutes. We're very intentionally working to design a connected and cohesive set of programs that will work together, that will provide partnership opportunities between the different elements, and they provide partnership opportunities for our partners and allies and other companies to engage in and partner with us on research and development. So with that, I will go ahead and wrap up my talk. Thank you for this time and this opportunity to present, and give you 1 minute and 30 back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ben. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite our last speaker, Dr. Carol Vessel, the Section Head of Technology, Innovation, and Partnerships at the National Science Foundation, will give us a presentation. Her presentation is titled U.S. National Science Foundation Supporting Transnational Research. Please welcome Dr. Vessel.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I very much appreciate the invitation. It is a lovely way for us to talk about where we are and where we want to go in the future, so thank you. So as I kind of stand between the current session and lunch, I'd like to draw a few parallels and some points of disparity between the different federal agencies, at least in the US, and how we could interact with our Korean counterparts. So as we talked this morning, NSF was established by Vannevar Bush in 1950. It's about 70 years old. And the mission of NSF is to promote the progress of science and all of its interactions in society. So how it advances the national health, prosperity, welfare, security, national defense, and for other purposes. So NSF, by the numbers, and I won't dwell on this very much, but NSF has an $8.8 billion at the moment. We fund approximately 2,000 institutions, and the science that is represented by the foundation has resulted in over 250 Nobel Prizes. So NSF really focuses on fundamental discovery and invention. NSF, in contrast to NIST, which looks at standards and metrology and characterization, is really focused in different areas of science, probably more traditional areas: biology, engineering, math, computer science, geosciences. And so in regard to the CHIPS and Science Act, we really have a very unique opportunity at this moment to look at the changing landscape. Global competition, as was illustrated this morning, especially with China, the social economic challenges that we have in making sure that there's the welfare for all people, and then to really make sure that all people are engaged in science and scientific endeavor, scientifically literate, so where data comes in and our understanding of that as a society. We've kind of said this already this morning. The challenges for science and engineering are only getting bigger. Climate change, the ability to equitably address education and healthcare, and to build critical and resistant infrastructures. These are big problems that really require collaborative efforts, not only with students, but also with communities, different countries, because they're worldwide problems. And so the way we attack these problems is really changing quite a lot. The pace of discovery has really been accelerated by our ability to model problems, take data and really develop new emerging technologies. It also is a changing community of students who really want to be very proactive and do things for the good of society. Their motivations has changed, perhaps because of COVID, perhaps because that's where the world is going. And we have the opportunity to really leverage partnerships in a whole new way. Maybe public-private partnerships, partnerships with universities, partners across the globe, because travel has been much easier. Maybe not really lately, but generally much easier. And so we have the opportunity at NSF to develop new, what they call horizontals. So it's a new way of thinking about how we look at the fundamental science and engineering and really translate that into society. And so in March of this year, just March, we're not a year old yet, we developed, as part of the CHIPS and Science Act, the Directorate for Technology, Innovation, and Partnerships, which we call TIP. So the TIP Directorate is to harness the nation's diverse talent pool, advance critical and emerging technologies, and address pressing societal challenges and economic challenges. And I'm sorry, I'm going really fast, but you have these slides in a beautiful program, so I will keep going. And so our goal really is to accelerate the impact of fundamental research and move it all the way into something that you might buy in the marketplace. So we're accelerating that translation. And what we believe in TIP is that there are fundamental milestones that each innovation goes through, and how can we speak to those so that we can do this at scale in a very broad way. And so TIP is looking at 3 different things. We're trying to foster innovation and technology ecosystems. So it's not just in the lab or in a university, but in a wider geographical region. And really establish all of the different pieces, have all the collaborators come together, both at the university and maybe with industry and the government, pieces to have a whole ecosystem devoted to technology innovation. We're also trying to establish translational pathways, so it's clear what you might need to take in college when you want to become a chemist or an engineer, but what do you need to do to take that chemistry and engineering all the way to the marketplace? Those programs are a little bit more unusual, and how do we develop the workforce of the future by doing that? And then partnering, again, to engage all of the talent in the nation. And that may include, cultivating these ecosystems, creating new technologies, and then supporting the leaders for these groups. So right now the TIP Directorate has kind of 2 different divisions. One is innovation and technology ecosystems, really building up the systems to help people innovate in the right environment where they can collaborate. And then the other one is translational impacts, which is kind of helping people know the steps to bring their technology to market. And so we have 2 kind of lines of attack at the moment. And I'll just go through these programs really quickly. The first one, and this is in the Innovation and Technology Ecosystems, is the Convergence Accelerator. And again, this program basically speaks to the integration of different areas of science. So there used to be chemistry and biology, and now we have biochemistry. And biochemistry has its own language, its own measurements, its own techniques, different than biology or chemistry traditionally. So we would like to encourage that more. How do we bring these areas together so that they're really developing a whole new way of thinking about these big, complex problems? And so the Convergence Accelerator has a couple of phases. The first one is thinking about what the challenge is, and then the second one is really thinking about how to attack that challenge. And so we look for feedback from the community in ideas labs and workshops and things like that to kind of decide what the tracks will be. We give some, smaller amount of money for planning, $750K, and then about $5 million to very quickly get the team up and have all kinds of partnerships together, university, nonprofits, profits, small business, big industry, everybody kind of working together to solve this and to actually arrive at societal impact. I'm not going to go through this slide because that's probably a little bit too detailed, but you can see the type of activities that the Convergence Accelerator portfolio is focused on. Many of the things that we've talked about already this morning, quantum technology, artificial intelligence and the future of work, the blue economy, communication systems, sustainability. The new ones are, again, operating through 5G infrastructure, enhancing opportunities for people with disabilities, sustainability, and food and nutrition. And so each year those tracks kind of change, but we're really trying to get people to get a good head start into doing something really revolutionary and thinking about bringing different areas together. The new program that TIP has started is the ENGINES program, Regional Innovation Engines. These are very large-scale collaborations, $10 to $20 million a year for 10 years. And what they're really focused on is kind of bringing areas of the country together. If you know about the United States, the East Coast and the West Coast are very, very strong in industry, and then the kind of middle is more agricultural and may not have quite the same industrial base. And so what we would like to do is develop regions of the country that can actually work together in a common good, maybe have universities and industry collaborate with the national labs, and then really bring some power to attacking different problems. And so overall, it'll be a multi-sector coalition of regional partners, and they're going to include industry, higher education, government, nonprofit, and community organizations. So the idea would be we may attack a goal of climate change and have 10 engines looking at that, but it'll be different ideas about climate change depending on if you're on the West Coast or in the middle of the country or on the East Coast, north and south. And so these are a way of kind of linking things together in a really bigger scale that we've ever done before. Workforce Development Program, this is a very new program. It's called Excellent, and it's awards of up to $1 million to promote partnerships between organizations in emerging technologies. And I would love to talk to you about that a bit more, but I'm going to keep moving. In terms of establishing technology in translation, so we talked about the ecosystems, and that's the convergence accelerators and the engines. Now we're talking about kind of the pathway for helping people bring their innovation or their discovery in the laboratory out into the marketplace. And we believe that we have to educate people, we have to allow them to validate their science on a bigger scale, prototype, make it bigger, scale it up, and then translate it. And usually, historically, this translation takes about 20 years. So our goal is to really speed that up so that we can have things in the marketplace much quicker. The first one is the Innovation Core, which we call I-Core. This is an experiential customer discovery program. So if you asked your students, you've done this marvelous experiment, you've made this new material, now you want them to take this to the marketplace. So you're asking them to learn how to talk to their potential customers. What is the price of this? How valuable is this to you? Is it a unique thing in the marketplace? And so they learn to actually interact with other industries by asking key questions. And so we have many students, about 6,000 students, trained in this program of how to understand what is the value of their technology. So that's educate. This is demonstrate. So Partnerships for Innovation is a way for academic researchers to work with industry or other researchers to prototype their invention, right? So you want to scale it up for the marketplace. You want to be able to replicate it at scale. This actually helps you develop a marketing plan and to kind of understand how to get the product into the marketplace. And not many programs at NSF, are focused on the invention again, but now we want to make sure we can make it at a much larger scale. So this is Demonstrate. The Pathways to Enable Open Source Ecosystems is a very new program, again, just launched last year. This is actually thinking about things a little differently. So this is when you're using open source development. So someone, for example, may develop some kind of computer code, work with collaborators to do that, and then realize that many, many people could use this code. And so in order for them to establish the network to use this open source code, kind of code for free, you use it for your application, you can use it in a different way for your application. We all kind of build that system together. We're providing a new pathway for them to actually get established in that regime. And then America Seed Fund is our way of truly funding, I'm going to move through these pretty fast, the most high-risk, small teams to start their own businesses. And so NSF prides itself on having an SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research Program, that funds the tiny teams that have the highest risk. We want to be the first money in so that we can help these companies before anybody else will be supportive of them. And so we're really looking for big outputs from them. You can see with the money that we've put in, businesses have blossomed, $14 billion. We funded everything from the first COVID test kit in the United States to 23andMe, the genetic testing. All kinds of inventions have come through SBIR, and so it's a really wonderful opportunity for us. And so I'm going to just show you this slide. It really shows you what NSF is trying to do. Look for basic fundamental research with things like the career program, and then help people prototype, market, make their small business, and actually take it into larger scale. So that is our goal. And I really thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure learning from all of the speakers this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bessel. I'd like to thank all the speakers and also our participants who have paid attention to the presentations. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of the morning session of the forum. And we'll now have a networking luncheon in Salon 2, which is right next door. And the breakaway seminars will begin at 1:30. And before you leave the room, please make sure that you return the device to the registration desk right outside. And thank you very much. Bon appétit.